Hey, everybody, welcome to the Authors Porch podcast, where every great conversation begins. I'm your host, CJ Ives Lopez, and this is a place where we bring together authors, readers, and creatives from all walks of life to share stories, insights, and the love of books together. Whether you're an aspiring writer, a seasoned author, or simply a book enthusiast, this is your space. And hey, maybe you'll find your next favorite author here. Every week, we dive into the writing world, explore new ideas, discuss the challenges we face as creatives, celebrate the magic of storytelling, and occasionally, we're blessed with amazing author interviews. So grab your cup of coffee, settle in, and let's turn the page on a new chapter together. Welcome to the Authors Porch, where every story matters and every voice has a home. Cool. Hey, everybody, welcome to Season 4, Episode 9 of the Authors Porch podcast. Today we've got, I almost said Sherrard, which is my son's name. So awkward, probably because I was talking to him at 2 o'clock this morning. We've got Sean Bridges here with us today. Welcome, Sean. How are you doing?
Very good, thank you. And I've been called Scene. I've been called all sorts of things because of the way my name is spelled. So yeah, I'm okay with it. It's like, right? Sean, you got it right. So I'm Sean. Yeah, that's good.
Well, that's good. As long as they call you, right?
I've just heard everything. Yeah, over time, it's funny. It's one of those names. It's an Irish name. Sean Patrick is my middle. Sean Patrick Bridges is my full name, but so it has that. My family comes from Donegal, Ireland background, and nice. But I've heard Scene growing up, or Sion, or how you can spell it different ways, and I'm like, no, I think Sean is the only way to really spell it. So, but I've heard all sorts of different other ways you could do it and things like that. So yeah, it's just one of those. My parents liked Irish names. So.
Well, I think the Americans made it the SHAWN way. We've got a little bit of
SHAUN. I've seen it. I've seen a couple different ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Americans have to do it their own way. That's how we are a little bit. So I do have some Irish and Scottish. That's kind of where my background came. It's the red hair and the green eyes. I know you can't see my eyes with my glasses, but that's okay.
I would do what Sean Connery, Jeff Bridges. So it's like that's kind of an easy way to kind of remember. It's like that's an easy way to remember it.
That's awesome. So I was looking at your bio, and everyone's going to read the show notes and all that great stuff and learn more about you. But you do screenwriting, right?
I started out as a writer, as a screenwriter. Yeah, it was one of those things I learned as I went. My background was international business and marketing. I went to a business school in Germany, in Heidelberg, Germany. And I probably should have been a banker, but life went a different direction. And I was doing corporate trade shows, and I just started to write on the side to see if I could do it. So it was trial and error, and got a ton of rejections, but hit a competition. And then it was my fourth attempt at a screenplay, hit the nickel, which is sponsored by the Academy Awards. And that I beat out thousands of people to go to that. And that kind of started my interest in writing was, mainly I think for the first 20 years as I was really a screenwriter. I would work with agents and managers and go to production companies for pitch meetings and meet and greets and try to hustle work. I had a script optioned by a production company in Hollywood. And that's the kind of how I learned how to write. And then started to branch off into novels. I did a couple self-published books in 2010. I just kind of went that direction. But yeah, screenwriting was kind of my beginning. I still go back to it. It's a different way of writing. It's like you're writing for people that don't read. So it's kind of a fascinating way to create.
That's going to be nerve-wracking, though, writing and pitching and living that type of lifestyle. Did it kind of like keep your blood pumping, having to write and pitch and talk and all that stuff?
I was living in Austin at the time, and I would go out to Los Angeles for meetings, and I would do a string of meetings. And even that whole aspect of it is interesting, and how you do a meeting. And it's like going to a dentist office, and there's a receptionist there, and she's going to ask if you want a bottle of water or a drink, and you always say yes, because you're going to be talking all day. So I would have a lineup of water bottles on my hotel nightstand at the end of the day from just all the different meetings you would take. It's constantly hustling. It's constantly talking about your work, or if they're not responding to that, having other material ready to go that you could talk to try to find a fit.
Oh,
It's just it was a really it was wild that I even got to do it. So I
well,
loved the opportunity, but I felt that I wasn't getting work out to the public. It was just being seen by agents and managers of production companies, and I would
right.
kind of hit that wall over and over and over again. And so I think it caused me to start to branch out into other directions. And I've always kind of been self-taught and just kept trying. Um, I like to write. I like to create, whether it's I do audio productions on the side. I've done documentaries. I do screenwriting, novels. So I tend to kind of just try all sorts of different things, and
So
I
you
enjoy that.
Yeah, so you had this year, you had one of your screenplays, Beginner's Luck, that won the San Antonio and Austin Film Festival. You won an
Yeah,
award for that. So can you
I had to
tell
get
us
up in front of people and talk. It was surreal to kind of get up on stage. I didn't expect them to call my name. I went to the award ceremony and I thought, yeah, I'm not, no way this is going to happen.
Yeah,
And I was in the middle of an aisle way in the back. And when they called my name, I had to kind of shuffle through and walk down the stairs. And I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to say. And I got up there and all I saw were lights. So I was glad I didn't see anybody. And I said something, and I remember getting off stage, and somebody said, "You did really good." And I'm like, "Great!" I didn't sound like a tool, so I guess I must have kind of stumbled
yeah,
through that.
yeah.
But yeah, it was unexpected, but it was really exciting. It was a script that hit both competitions. It hit in San Antonio earlier in May, and then Austin. And uh, the Austin Film Festival was just in October, right around Halloween. So yeah, it was wild.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit about the screenplay itself?
There was a book I wrote called Roll the Die, and it's kind of connected to that. It's everyday man in extraordinary circumstances. I like it's a guy who's forced to play a twisted version of Russian roulette to get his wife back in Las Vegas. So she's kidnapped by this kind of underground group, and but in this case he's in a hotel, and his wife vanishes, and he can't convince anybody that she's actually gone. People think she just left, but it turns out she was kind of kidnapped by this group, and they're forcing him to do these games for basically an international group of gamblers that come and play with people every year. So it's a twisted kind of a dark suspense
Yeah,
thriller, but I had versions of this over the years, and this was a version I took a crack at earlier this year and took pieces from different things from the novel and an audio project I did, and it's an abandoned screenplay, and kind of created this tight little thriller that I think moves. It's a good page turner.
yeah.
And yeah, I was really happy that it got some notice at the festivals. It's always good to get a light shined on your work, so I was appreciative of it.
It sounds like a blood pumping, action film itself that,
I did
like
trade shows in Las Vegas for the longest time. Las Vegas is a I love places that are very unique in the world,
yeah,
and you can gamble anywhere, but Las Vegas is Las Vegas, and
I
it's
love Vegas.
you got to travel. It's in the middle of the desert. You got to go to there. You just can't. It's this unique place that's just
Yeah,
unlike any other place in the world. And I would have to go to work at 4 or 5 in the morning. And if you go to a casino floor at that time, you really see the true essence of Las Vegas. It doesn't get
yeah,
any real than a person who's been gambling all night trying to get their winnings back there. If you touched them on the shoulder, they would go through the roof. It's just a tense, empty floor that smells like stale cigarettes and haggard people that are there. And
yeah.
it just fascinated me. So Vegas is always, I like places that, yeah, well, it was something I always have been drawn to is twisted games in Las Vegas. And just, yeah, so this was my version of that type of story that I wanted to tell.
Well, it sounds like you portrayed it in a way that people could feel it enough. I mean, if you're winning Austin film festivals, I mean, I know Austin a little bit, from my times back and forth through Texas and San Antonio. You've portrayed it in a way that people are feeling it, so that kudos to you on that.
It was one of those where I thought, this is just, it was a random, let me send it out. And this has been a busy year with projects anyway, but I didn't honestly expect it to get anything. And so I was grateful when I got the San Antonio hit. And then when I got the Austin hit, I was like, wow, this is okay. So it never translates into, I mean, Hollywood interest or things like that. But I look at the festival nods as like, yeah, that's a good piece of material that could be something someday. So and that script turned out solid. So it kind of did what it needed to do.
Now, is that the genre that you normally write in, as far as screenplays and books,
I
or do
like
you kind of
suspense
dabble in
thrillers. It's like a comfortable sweater. I'll find myself going to. I mean, I've done historical docudramas, and a time travel adventure was my biggest award winner. And
either?
I wrote a ghost story novel because I wanted to always have a ghost story that, like, I was in Maryland and some weird thing happened. I thought, oh, this would be great for a story, and I kind of filed it away. But yeah, suspense thrillers are something I'll go back to. And even the book that's about to drop, Gunbarrel Highway, is that kind of beach read suspense thriller. Guy gets into a car wreck with a person, turns out to be the wife of a politician, and he puts a bounty on the guy's head, and the guy's on the run, and takes place in central and southern Texas. And it was my nod to this area, San Antonio and Texas, Mexico. And I love where I'm living now, and I wanted to write a Texas story.
Yeah.
And the Lone Star State is all out for on the hunt for the bounty, and it's the early reviews have come out and they've been really positive. The book drops on November 20th as a paperback, ebook, and audiobook. We're doing an audiobook version of it as well. And that's my first professionally published book. So I connected with a publisher out of New York called the Wild Rose Press, and they picked it up. And going through that whole gamut of working with editors and how you get a manuscript, how I got a manuscript to them, which I thought was really solid, but then working with 2 editors to get it in the best shape you can, proofreaders, cover art, all the things you go through. I signed a contract with them last October, and it took a full year, literally. The book drops on November 20th. So I'm very excited about that one. And even the next book, I've got a new manuscript with an editor. I hope they pick up my next novel, and that's a Louisiana kind of cops and robbers in the swamps of Louisiana playing cat and mouse, and it's kind of a 10 Little Indians vibe. And again, Southern Louisiana fascinates me because it's unlike any other place in the world.
Yeah.
Music, language, food, attitude. I'm always drawn to unique places. So yeah.
You pick some very fascinating places, very iconic, very unique. And I want to ask about why suspense thrillers. Do you feel like it has a place coming from your background? Do you feel like you've found this growing up? And we talked before we came on the air about you came from a military family. Do you feel like that played a little bit in why you like to write suspense thrillers, or what drew you to suspense thrillers?
I'm a big Stephen King, Richard Bachman, Elmore Leonard, Joe Lansdale are novelists that I'll go back to time and time again and read. And I love their work, but I like an everyday man in an extraordinary circumstance stories. I tend to be drawn to those.
Yeah.
Because when I started out as a screenwriter, I mean, my first script was a kind of a Slacker Clerks hybrid. Then it was a dark thriller. Then it was a family drama, then a Western werewolf, then a time travel adventure. So I was jumping genres all the time. And I'm comfortable with that. If I've got a slasher idea about a fishing trip that goes awry that I want to write as a script next. So it's like just sitting, it's been in my mental waiting room for a while that I'm like, oh, I would love to tackle that one. It won't go away. And usually ideas that don't go away, I eventually get to and turn into something. But no, it's almost, in a weird way, it's like a comfortable sweater. I just feel like a suspense thriller is an easy one to get into, and it's easy to keep. I mean, if you're writing a book, I think first and foremost, you want the reader to keep turning the page. That's the main thing. And I like suspense thrillers to kind of lay track to keep people interested in the story, but also where the reader isn't figuring it out, where it's like, oh, I didn't see that coming, or, oh, why I gotta know what's going to happen next. And it's a genre that just kind of lends itself to that. But I could write, I mean, I'll jump genres, but suspense thrillers are always kind of a comfortable return for me. Yeah.
So I always ask this question when I'm doing an interview, because I find it fascinating where people find themselves based off of where they started. And when you were growing up, where did you think your life was going to go? Did you always know you wanted to write, or?
No. I was a movie geek, so I was always fascinated with movies, but I was a geek. So I was kind of like the kid under the radar, a kid that was getting bullied. I was moving a lot. I went to college because I followed a girl there. If it would have been a cooking school, I guess I would have been a chef, but it was a business college. So I got a business degree. I stayed and got a degree. I just kind of like adventure in life. And I think from moving all the time, I was always open to new opportunities, or the thought of packing up and going to another country never frightened. It was like, yeah, sure, I can do that.
Yep.
Let's go. But I never thought I would, I got into writing honestly because I think I wanted to be a filmmaker growing up, and that was expensive. And so I ended
Yep.
up doing some films later on in life. But at the time, I got into screenwriting because it was cheap, honestly. I thought at the time, oh, I just need a pen and paper. Let me see if I can craft a story. My father's a painter. I can't draw anything. So I think I like to paint with words, basically, is how I look at it. But
Yeah.
no, my background was definitely more corporate. I should have been I was corporate for a while, and that was where I should have probably stayed. Um, but life just went other directions, and I'm always open to that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I probably only the last 20 years I really focused on creative work and writing and thinking, oh, I can do this, and other people outside of family and friends respond to it. It's not just that, there are people
Right.
that I don't know that would like, hey, that was awesome. Do that again. I'll get reviews or things on projects that made me think, oh, I should keep doing that. Let me keep kind of going down this avenue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice to know that you've always had the stories in you. They were just waiting to get out. And your new novel, we talked a little bit about it, but I want to go back to it.
Mhm.
Gunbarrel Highway. It's coming out the 20th of November.
Yeah.
Where did the idea spark inside of your head for this one?
It was an abandoned screenplay. It was funny at the time. I had just hit the nickel in Hollywood, and I was cranking out ideas for new material. I just got a new agent, and I had this idea, but I called it Hit and Run, which was a lousy title. But I thought I had a really good first act where a guy gets into a car wreck and leaves for some reason, but it turns out that it's a politician's wife, and the politician makes a big deal out of this and puts a bounty out on the guy. I don't know, just this weird little idea. And I tried it as a script, and it just didn't work. And I stuck it in a drawer and kind of forgot about it. And then years later, I found it and reread it and thought, yeah, it's still pretty bad. But there were pieces there that I liked.
Yeah.
And I realized, hey, this might actually make a good book. I don't know why I decided to kind of strip it down, strip it for parts, and then relook at it, retackle it, change characters, change setting, take my time with it, not try to speed through it, and just tell this story that I tried to and failed. And I think what I discovered was, oh, this idea was meant to be a book instead of a script. It just been, and I like that I'll have ideas that I think at the time I was trying to write everything as a screenplay. And I think what I've discovered over time is, oh, some of these ideas actually were probably better novels, or, they didn't have to have this 3-act structure. It didn't have to have this thing that I was trying to cram them into a script format. It's like, no, maybe it needed to breathe a little bit and just be its own story.
Yeah.
And this is clearly one of them.
Yeah. Sometimes we just don't know what we don't know until we know it. And
Yeah.
I think the stories want to tell their 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 story their way, for lack of better words. And I've had some characters where I thought they were a romance story, but by the time I got done writing it, it was friendship fiction, and it was all about the friendship of my characters that were really coming out. And I was like, but I wanted it to be a romance story because it would sell better. And I was like pouting and stuff like that. So I like that you said it sat for years, and then when you went back to it was a novel. It didn't fit, and that the structure that you originally had it. And I think that some writers they try to force certain narratives, and it just doesn't fit, and they don't understand why. And it's the authenticity of a story that we have to be true to, the authenticity of the characters. And I love that you were authentic to your story instead of forcing it to be something else and just kind of trying to fit that square peg in the round hole.
Yeah, it wasn't time for that one, is how I looked at it. And I have other pieces like that were just concepts or ideas that I've filed away. I call it like a mental waiting room. And if they just don't go away, if they're still like every couple months, they'll stand up like, "Are you ready to deal with me?" And I'm like, "No." And they sit back down and wait.
Yeah.
And it's the ones that just don't fade away that I'm like, I eventually have to deal with. And this was one that I kind of had forgotten, but it was always in the back of it. It was like, I didn't really get, I had a nice idea, but didn't go anywhere. I wonder if this will ever be something. And I got into audio productions. I have an audio production I'm doing now that is almost like a 4-hour audio book that was a script that, again, I didn't really get it right. And I think it's become a better piece by tackling it in this other format. And so I like that. I like looking at work. It's not only one thing. It could be, in my mind, it could be, oh, this could be a screenplay. This slasher idea I have, to me, is like, oh, this will be a script, like a 90, 100-page screenplay, easy. But it, may eventually be something else down the road. You never know.
Yeah, and being fluid and open that way, you become more successful because you can navigate the waters of where it belongs. Did you narrate the audiobook for Gunbarrel Highway?
No, I tend not to. Oh no, I worked with an actress that I've worked with on a couple audio projects. I was a Stephen King dollar baby. I got picked to do one of his stories, and I did an audio project based on a script that was this like a almost akin to this Vegas game thing I had. We did 5 episodes of that, so those are on my website, Audible Parade Productions. And then this one, Parasite Zero, is kind of Breaking Bad meets 28 Days Later vibe. I'm a big George Romero fan and always wanted to kind of write a crazies type of story, and that's what this is, where a drug turns people insane, and the lab is blown up and it affects a little town, and American DEA agents and Mexican federales have to go in and find out what's going on. And it's a B movie, but I love those. It's that kind of like, and we're having fun making it as an audio production. And the woman who narrated it, Patricia Zamora, is an actress that I loved. I've worked with now 3 times, and I came to her. She is a big actress in San Antonio, and this was a Texas story. And I said, I think you could really do this one justice. And she's been basically doing an unabridged version of the book, and it sounds great. And we're going to be able to drop that the same time the paperback and the ebook are go out on sale. So that'll also be available as probably I'll get an actual minute count pretty soon, but we're kind of finessing the last few chapters, but it's turning out really nice.
That's perfect. There is such a huge audiobook listening base right now. It's almost as big as the ebook base and the paperback base. It's like they're all coming together all at the same time. And I keep telling authors, do them all 3 at the same time, and you're gonna be great. So it's fantastic.
When I discovered the audio world, like I sometimes doors closed, windows open, that kind of mindset, and things weren't going right. I was working at the Austin Film Festival as a judge one year. This would have been 2017, and I went to a panel called Audio Theater, and it kind of kickstarted this. Oh, I could do this. I'd never been in a recording studio before, but it really started this drive of, this is another way to get stories out to an audience. And that's really what I've always wanted to do, is how to get my material out to people in whatever format. And it's akin to an old radio drama, but it's using modern technology to just distribute it. And also adding in music, sound effects. So it really brings that kind of old school radio drama to life in a different way, without a narrator, just letting the actors kind of do the scenes. So even writing for these audio dramas, it's like writing for the blind. It's an interesting way of writing, because I have to have the actors convey the story, but the listener has to know what's going on. And so I like that kind of challenge too. So it's, I've just really discovered I love this. I love doing these things. And I've accumulated a decent group of professional actors from Austin and the Hill Country and in San Antonio who are film, TV actors or theater actors. So she's one of our like actors that we like to use on all our productions, and she just has done a killer job. But yeah, I'm all for writers doing anything they can to get their material out to an audience. It's a big, and they should be open to any avenue they can, really.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So your new book comes out on the 20th of November.
Yeah.
And it's going to be wide because it's through a publishing house, correct? So people will be able to get it anywhere. Do you have a website that they can grab it on?
I've it's listed on my website, Audible Parade Productions, and you can find the audio productions that we're doing, but also the book. Like I think the pre-release link is there. There's a book trailer that we just created that's going to drop pretty soon.
Nice.
Um, and Gunbarrel Highway is starting to, there's no opening weekend for a book, so I just hope it continues to find an audience. But the reviews have been really positive, and it makes me feel good that okay, this story turned out the way I wanted it to, and now I hope an audience embraces it. And I'm really happy with it. But yeah, it's Audible Parade is probably an easy way to find it. But you can also probably just Google Gunbarrel Highway, and our
Yeah.
Wild Rose Press has it on their site, so you can
Okay.
go to their homepage, and it's there as well.
Yeah, and we're going to have all the links here in the show notes too. So I want everyone to just go into the show notes and grab all the links. We're going to have the Amazon link. We're going to have your link. We're going to grab Wild Rose Press link and put it in there so people can go to
Perfect.
their website. Make sure you grab all of the links and go check out you. And I did look at Gunbarrel Highway on Amazon because I'm an avid Amazon user. It's easy for me. I've got everything hooked up. I just click one click. So I did see the pre-order link was on there. You can go and you can check out whatever you need to check out. I think it sounds, I love Texas. My kids were born there. I've spent a large chunk of my life there, even though I'm back up in the town that birthed me, wanting to be next to all my family and stuff. I just think it's fantastic. Such an iconic place.
And this was my nod to, I think, central and southern Texas, and the people, the locale, the city climate, the desert climate, just this place that I've really fallen in love with. So it was really a nod to that, to really this locale. It was I got a thing for Central Texas, and I was literally at Book People on Halloween signing copies. They've got a bunch of advance copies, and they asked me to come in and sign them. And so it'll be on the and Book People's probably my favorite bookstore in Austin. So to have them have the book was a thrill for me. And then to come in, just come in and sign a couple copies for them, I thought that was great. So yeah, I'm excited about this one. I really am. I really hope I hope the audience enjoys it as much as I really am glad this one kind of coming out the way it's coming out.
And this isn't it. I mean, you got another iconic place after this that you'll be writing about in Louisiana, New Orleans, you said?
Yeah, it was a self-published novel I had made that was always one of my favorites, but didn't really catch fire. And self-publishing is a lot like pushing a wooden cart through Manhattan or Los Angeles. It's just tough to have people generate interest in it. And honestly, what I found is going through the editing process with a novel is so important. So the self-published work that I have, I'm basically going through this process to release it through the publishing house if they pick it up. It's already been through one editor, and it'll go through my editor at Wild Rose Press, and I hope they like it. Nice. It's probably one of my favorites, and so I'm really happy with how that story turned out. And then I have an idea for a new novel I'll be working on. I'm working on a proof of concept we're going to try to do a short film next year in Central Texas. That's this Western werewolf thing I've been sitting on forever that I just thought it was called High Moon, that I thought it was like good, bad, and ugly bounty hunters versus a clan of shapeshifters in the deserts of Texas in 1950. I thought I just liked that. I had a fun time writing that.
That was interesting.
It's Joe Lansdale, Sergio Leone, George Romero, John Carpenter, like all these influences I had as a kid kind of thrown into a pot. And I never wanted to do anything with it other than make a film out of it. So we're going to try to see if we can get at least a proof of concept or a trailer off the ground. And I'll be doing that next year. So different things that are kind of bubbling and happening. And that's always fun, really, when I'm doing a bunch of different type of creative projects.
Yeah. Sounds like your mind's never stopping, and that's a good thing. So keep your mind going, and good luck on your release on the 20th. I'm looking forward to watching it climb the charts with Wild Rose Press over there and all the other charts and all the bookstores. It was great talking to you today, Sean. I'm super stoked to see all the things you're going to do in the future. And I'm also looking forward to seeing a Western werewolf. So please get that on.
That would be awesome. Yeah. I've been holding on to this one thinking I could do it as an audio project. I'm like, nope, I could do it as a novel. Nope, this has got to be a film. And we'll see if it works. I mean, it's tried before, but I just think the time is right. And I'm like, I would love to do this. I'm working with a wonderful producer out of Spain, and she's coming in to help me do it, and some LA contacts that I've connected with. So we'll see if we can get this off the ground. But I've got that. I've got Parasite Zero dropping next year as kind of a 2-part audio book, be a 4-hour production that's coming out. So yeah, that plus I bartend. So there's always stuff going on.
You're all over the place. When it comes to film, that werewolf one, that's where I sit. Like, that's my love. I will sit here and watch that type of stuff all day, every day. So let me know how that one goes. I will be all over that, watching it and rooting for you all over the place. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, it was really great talking to you. Yeah, come back and let us know how things are going. We'd love to talk to you again, talk about your new stuff. You've got some fantastic ideas, blood pumping, really getting in the weeds with some stuff, iconic locations. Guys, go check out Sean Bridges in Gunbarrel Highway, coming out November 20th. Go to the show notes, grab all of those links. Check out some of his audio productions as well that he's also done, and just all the wonderful things happening over there in Texas. Thanks for watching. Watching on YouTube, listening on the podcast. I almost forgot, because, Sean, in case you didn't know, it's been almost a year since I've done an interview with an author, because I took a little hiatus for a while. So thanks for coming on.
Well, I'm glad to be the first one to kind of bring you back into this. That's awesome.
So if I'm a little wonky and a little wobbly, it's because it's been a while since I've interviewed an author. I've been talking my head off to everybody, but I appreciate your time here. So.
I had a long night at the bar last night, and I'm heading back to do a concert tonight. So yeah, if I'm wonky or wobbly, that's probably what it is on my end. So it meshes well. If that's good.
There you go. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Bye. We've come to the end of this episode. We're not done. If you enjoyed that, you'll enjoy all the other things we do at the Authors Porch. Check out the magazine, blogs, and all the other stuff we do at our website, theauthorsporch.com. Also, follow us on social media at The Authors Porch. That's all one word. Find your new favorite author and your new favorite book, all here with us. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on The Authors Porch, where every great conversation happens.